An interstellar hunt goes wrong when space hunters discover life within the machines. During its escape through space, a machine with a defective AI system known as the Mima gets overtaken by a warship. Severely damaged, the Mima uses its last strength to break free but is forced to crash on an unexplored planet, Apus-7. There, a group of female scavengers gathers around the Mima's wreckage, but a foreign ship arrives out of nowhere. Its captain, Vascan, orders his co-pilot, Lago, to fire the ship's cannon on the scavengers. However, their AI console, Tracy, seems defective, failing to comply with his orders. As Lago gently tries to fix Tracy, Vascan erupts in anger. They have been following the Mima for 2 weeks, and he's not about to let the scavengers take their loot. Because of this, Vascan decides to head out and get rid of the scavengers himself. Lago tries to stop him, but Vascan takes the loaded gun and prepares to leave. As he pulls the lever to open the door, he finds that the thing is jammed. Impatient, he shoots the control panels despite Lago's protests. Tracy glitches as if she feels the pain of what Vascan did. Before leaving, Vascan tosses the ripped piece of the control panel to Lago, who then realizes that it's bleeding. Meanwhile, Vascan notices the blood on his hand. Although he's confused about where it came from, he shrugs it off and puts on a pair of gloves. He then reaches the outdoors, where he gets greeted by the smell of a rotting corpse. Vascan updates Lago that he's dealing with a peculiar kind of scavenger. When his co-pilot asks what kind it is, Vascan briefly replies that they're women. As the scavengers walk closer to him, Vascan holds out his gun and declares that the wreck belongs to him. This doesn't seem to threaten them though, as they keep moving closer. Meanwhile, Lago manages to control Tracy's cannons and aims them at the scavengers, causing them to stop. Corey, one of the scavengers, tells Vascan that the Mima is on the brink of death. Vascan mockingly smiles, claiming that he was the one responsible for it. Bald, one of Corey's elderly companions, calls him a murderer. However, Corey signals her to stand down. She reasons with Vascan, saying that the Mima is a living being that can still be healed. However, Vascan fires his gun at the Mima, commenting that healing it is no longer possible. The scavengers rush to aid the Mima while Lago reminds Vascan not to damage their loot further. Angry, Bald takes her spear and heads toward Vascan, demanding to pump his ship to get some fuel. However, he shoots the elderly woman's hand, causing her to be grazed. Vascan warns Bald to stay back, but she only smiles at what's behind him. When he looks, a group of scavengers is already bashing Tracy's fuel tank. He immediately tries to shoot them but struggles to aim. As he recklessly shoots, Lago gets shocked by the impact that it gives him a heart attack. Vascan hears this through his earpiece, so he worriedly tells him to give himself a jolt. Occupied by Lago's situation, Vascan fails to defend himself as Bald holds him hostage. Corey then summons one of her companions, Bulk, to assist Bald. With a knife held against his throat and a gun directed at his face, Vascan finally yields. Corey explains that they're here to do good, but Vascan replies that it doesn't make sense because they're destroying one ship to save another. Corey then replies that they're only doing a drip feed and it's no big deal. Meanwhile, Lago struggles to breathe as Tracy is defective and refuses to give him a jolt. He pleads with her not to give up on him. Then suddenly, Tracy releases a jolt of electricity that revives Lago's strength. After handing the gun to Bald, Corey goes over to the Mima and confirms that she's dead. With this, Corey tells her companions to prepare for the ceremony. Not long after, the scavengers create a sacred symbol around the Mima, using the fuel that they got from Tracy. Corey then drinks some of the fuel while Bald stabs her spear on the ground, reciting a ritual. The whole planet gets consumed by darkness as an eclipse takes place. Just then, the symbol surrounding the Mima glows bright, and a womanly figure courses through its walls as if it's trying to break free. Bald continues her ritual while Corey gets on top of the Mima to rip out an opening. Suddenly, an entity emerges from it, leaving everyone stunned. The entity then ascends to the sky, revealing an upside-down cross that runs over her abdomen. Lago is in awe of what he's seeing that he makes the sign of the cross. Just then, Tracy functions again, alerting Lago that the commander's ship has just entered the planet's atmosphere. With another ship approaching, Bald tells Bulk to run. She then alerts Corey to flee with her, but she's too consumed by the ritual to snap back into reality. With no choice, Bald leaves without her. Suddenly, Commander Galder appears on Lago's screen, asking where Vascan is. Outside, Vascan abducts Corey and plans to make her cater to his manly needs. She spits on his face in retaliation, but this only excites him. After this, Vascan forcibly drags her to his ship, where he puts 2 handcuffs on her. He then calls out to Lago, telling him to track the entity that emerged from the Mima. Meanwhile, Commander Galder demands Vascan for updates. Vascan tells him that the Mima's rebellion was provoked by a foreign intelligence and the sudden desire to free itself. However, Commander Galder cares less about this because he just wants the Mima. Vascan doesn't listen to his command, and he prepares Tracy to pursue the entity. Vascan and Lago follow the mysterious entity into space, despite Commander Galder's impending rage. During their journey, Lago nurses Corey's wounds that she obtained from his comrade. Moments later, their path leads them into a blazing black hole. Vascan prepares for what lies beyond, while Corey weakens as they draw nearer to the new location. Just then, Tracy notifies that they're entering the same type of force field that they encountered in Apus 7. As the two men look around, they see tons of floating debris from broken machines and spaceships. Lago comments that it's a vast graveyard, but Vascan only thinks it's a dump site. Lago then replies that maybe they have souls too, based on what he saw from the Mima. When Vascan scoffs at the idea, Lago only adds that a man his age holds many beliefs. Suddenly, Tracy notifies that the entity had just vanished into the largest wreck in the black hole. True enough, the massive wreck appears in front of them. As Vascan comments that some kind of intelligence must keep all the wrecks in orbit, Corey replies that he shouldn't be too surprised. This pisses him off, so he calls Corey an oil sucker. Lago then turns to Corey, politely asking her where they are. She doesn't talk but only stares at Lago as if she's telling him the answers directly to his mind. However, this moment gets cut short when Vascan tells Lago that they're about to land the ship. Tracy offers to do a soft landing, but Vascan is stubborn and wants to do the job himself. He manages to land the ship, but it's very rough that Tracy gains minor damages to her landing thrusters. Although Tracy congratulates him for the successful landing, Lago is disappointed again with his reckless behavior. Vascan seems very proud of his accomplishment and brags to Corey that he can be very gentle. However, Corey sarcastically points out the damages he gave Tracy. Pissed, he tells Corey that they're going on a little walk outside. With this, Lago frees her from the cuffs while smiling because he wants to comfort her. Before heading out, Tracy opens her doors by bursting through a dome of debris. Vascan then forces Corey to take off her mask to ensure that the air is breathable. When she confirms this, Vascan follows, but he immediately vomits because of the methanethiol in the atmosphere. After this, the two follow the signal that the entity emits. This leads them to a hall where they find her sitting alone. Suddenly, she starts flexing her muscles, and it's so peculiar that Vascan is intrigued. His ignorance makes Corey laugh, which angers him. Meanwhile, Lago loses track of them. He tells Tracy to reinitiate the scan, but she malfunctions again. In the hall, Corey randomly laughs, so Vascan slams her to the floor. When he does this, the floor lights up, revealing the same pattern shown in the ritual for the Mima. This scares Vascan, so he attempts to leave the hall. However, as soon as he steps outside, he finds himself inside the hall again. He tries repeatedly, but realizes he's stuck in a loop. Scared, he points his gun at Corey, demanding to know who's in charge. This time, Corey shows no fear as she walks toward Vascan. He tries to shoot her, but finds that his weapon holds no power in this foreign territory. Corey then gently guides Vascan into lowering his gun, telling him that he forgot how to treat women. For a brief moment, he almost yields to her words, but he resorts back to violence and smacks Corey with his weapon. Corey's mouth bleeds, but she remains patient with Vascan. She tells him to be gentle with her, but this only makes him angrier. Suddenly, Vascan grabs Corey by the neck, attempting to choke her. However, Corey tells him that this isn't what being gentle is. With this, the entity from the Mima appears behind Vascan, gently caressing his back to show him what Corey means. While she does this, Corey kisses Vascan, but he pulls away. For some reason, this makes him docile, and he patiently observes what the women are about to do. This seems to please him, and he begins to take heavy breaths. However, Corey menacingly smiles at Vascan and points the gun toward his chest. She pulls the trigger, releasing a powerful beam that shoots through his body. Meanwhile, Lago receives a notification that his captain is in critical condition. Because of this, he grabs the gun and attempts to rescue Vascan himself. However, Tracy refuses to open the door, leaving Lago with no choice but to break her open. Tracy stops him, expressing disbelief that he's raising his hand at her for the first time. However, Lago dismisses this and only demands her to obey his command. Tracy replies that he should stay inside for his own good, making Lago wonder if her system has been corrupted. She replies that it's not, and she never felt better. With this, Lago smashes Tracy's floor, making her scream and twitch in agony. Suddenly, a separate part of the ship detaches itself and flies towards the huge wreck where Corey is. Meanwhile, Corey performs a ritual. She digs her hand into Vascan's belly, pulling out his insides and feeding the blood to the entity from the Mima. At the ship, Lago pulls out Tracy's wires, desperate to open the door. However, the separate part of the ship returns, and Tracy notifies Lago that Vascan is back. Suddenly, Vascan enters the ship, only to greet Lago with his hollow belly. The repulsive scene causes Lago to drop to the floor and have a heart attack. Vascan only stares at his friend while he dies, while Corey, who's still in the hall, tears up as she feels Lago's death. Just then, Commander Galder contacts them, demanding to receive good news. However, Vascan bluntly says that Lago is dead, which shocks Galder. He adds that they followed an entity to a junkyard in the coal sack, and it's controlling their machines with some kind of new technology. He also claims that he tried to take it out, but it's too strong compared to his ship, so he needs the firepower from the commander's ship. However, Commander Galder says he needs the general staff's approval first. Vascan argues that they don't have time for this because the entity might escape again, so he's having Tracy send the coordinates to the commander as they speak. Suddenly, Commander Galder comments that Vascan is acting strange, suspecting that the entity might have compromised him. It turns out that he's right. At the hall, Vascan's true body remains, and Corey only sent out a clone to deceive Commander Galder and his forces. As she controls Vascan's words and actions, Corey makes him kill himself in front of Commander Galder to make the matter seem urgent. After this, she disposes of Vascan's body. Just then, she ascends to the highest part of the wreck and summons all the entities in the broken ship surrounding them. The entities bust out of the walls and fly toward Corey. Then they all land on her feet. Suddenly, Commander Galder and his forces appear. He calls out to Tracy, telling her to stay alert as he needs her to aid their attack. However, Tracy doesn't respond, so Galder screams at her to obey. Elsewhere, Corey begins attacking Commander Galder's ships by controlling the wreck that the entities once resided in. With her abilities, she crashes each one onto Galder's ship, causing massive damage. Meanwhile, Tracy refuses to be controlled again, so she frees herself from the ship. At the same time, Corey musters all her strength to enfold Galder's ship with the wrecks. The pressure eventually kills him and his men, but Corey doesn't stop there. She gathers all the entities until she controls their broken ships, forming a massive woman-shaped machine. Meanwhile, Tracy finally breaks free, and she leads her ship toward the heart of the entity's machine, where she finally becomes part of them. Vascan's soul wakes up inside the woman-shaped machine. This time, he's the one trapped, so he screams his lungs out, realizing that he'll stay there for eternity.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.